Her tattered journal, filled with intricate designs. A prestigious design competition that draws the elite from around the world. When Eliza Chen, custodian at the renowned Atelier Institute, accidentally leaves her sketchbook where it shouldn't be, everything changes. Talent can't stay hidden forever, and some secrets are meant to be revealed. Before we dive into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. The polished marble floor reflected Eliza's mop like a mirror. 6 months at the Atelier Institute of Design, and she still marveled at how perfectly it captured her distorted image, always slightly out of place among the sleek architecture and pristine surfaces. "Still here, Chen?" Professor Harrington's voice echoed through the empty hallway. Eliza glanced up from her cleaning cart. "Just finishing up, sir." Harrington checked his watch, a limited edition Patek Philippe that probably cost more than Eliza's yearly salary. "The Richardson showcase starts in 20 minutes. Make sure the East Wing is spotless." "Of course." She kept her voice neutral, professional. As his footsteps faded, Eliza reached into her cart and pulled out a worn leather journal. Her fingers traced the edges, feeling the slight bulge where too many pages had been added. She flipped it open, revealing detailed sketches of clothing designs, asymmetrical cuts, innovative seaming techniques, fabrics manipulated in ways that defied conventional construction. The janitorial position hadn't been her first choice, but with her mother's mounting medical bills and a design degree from a community college no one recognized, options had been limited. At least here, surrounded by creativity, she could absorb everything, learn from the whispered critiques between professors, study the techniques of visiting designers when they gave demonstrations. Her phone alarm buzzed. Break time over. Eliza tucked the journal into her pocket and pushed her cart toward the East Wing, where the semester's most talented students would soon display their collections for industry executives. "Is this where they're setting up?" A slender woman with sharp cheekbones and a pristine white pantsuit approached, eyeing the space critically. "Yes, ma'am. The reception starts at 7. The woman nodded, barely glancing at Eliza. "I'm Diana, Winter's guest judge. Could you point me toward Richardson's office?" "Third door on the right," Eliza said, gesturing down the hallway. "Would you like me to show you?" "I think I can manage to find a door, thank you." Diana's tone made it clear. The conversation was over. As Diana walked away, Eliza noticed her journal had fallen from her pocket. She quickly retrieved it, hoping no one had noticed, and continued preparing the space. Within the hour, the East Wing transformed. Students arranged mannequins displaying bold designs. Faculty members in expensive attire clustered in small groups. Industry professionals carried flutes of champagne, their critical gazes evaluating everything. Eliza blended into the background, collecting empty glasses and wiping up spills when necessary. No one looked at the cleaning staff. It made her invisible, but it also made her the perfect observer. "Predictable silhouettes again this year," Diana Winters remarked to Professor Harrington. "When will your students learn that technical skill means nothing without vision?" Harrington's smile tightened. "Perhaps you'd prefer to teach them yourself, Diana." "Someone should." Diana sipped her champagne. "The industry needs innovation, not more copycats." Eliza edged closer, collecting abandoned napkins while straining to hear. "What about you?" Diana suddenly turned, catching Eliza mid-eavesdrop. "Do you think these designs show vision?" Startled, Eliza froze. Several nearby conversations halted. "I don't think," she began. "Come now," Diana pressed. "You must have an opinion. You're surrounded by fashion every day." Eliza felt her face flush. "The embroidery technique on Jessica's evening wear is innovative, and Marcus has created an interesting juxtaposition with structured shoulders against fluid fabrics." The silence deepened. Professor Harrington cleared his throat. "Our custodial staff should be focusing on their duties, not critiquing student work," he said pointedly. Diana's eyes narrowed with renewed interest. "You seem knowledgeable for maintenance personnel." "I studied design." The words slipped out. Before Eliza could stop them, "Did you?" Diana's tone was lightly mocking. "Where?" "Riverdale Community College." Someone snickered. Harrington's expression registered somewhere between embarrassment and annoyance. "Perhaps you should continue with your cleaning," he suggested, not unkindly but firmly. Eliza nodded, mortified. "Excuse me." She escaped to the supply closet, leaning against the shelves. Stupid. So stupid. She should have kept quiet, stayed invisible. That was the unspoken rule. Maintenance staff didn't participate in academic discussions. When she emerged 10 minutes later, the reception continued as if the awkward exchange had never happened. She kept her head down, focusing on collecting trash rather than the designs being celebrated around her. "You need to check the women's restroom," her supervisor radioed. Someone reported a plumbing issue. In the bathroom, Eliza found water, pooling around the sink. She placed an out-of-order sign and began mopping up the mess. The door swung open. 3 students entered, stopping short when they saw Eliza. "Oh," said the tallest one. "Vanessa Richardson, the department head's daughter. It's you." Eliza nodded politely. "The sink's out of order, but the others are fine." "You're the one who tried to critique our work earlier," said another student, Morgan, the janitor with the design degree. Their tones weren't openly hostile, but something in their expressions made Eliza tense. "I apologize for speaking out of turn," she said quietly. "No, it's fascinating." Vanessa leaned against the wall. "Tell us more about your expert assessment of our collections." Eliza focused on wringing out her mop. "I didn't mean to offend anyone. You didn't offend us." Morgan's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We're just curious. What qualifies someone from, where was it? Riverdale Community College? To evaluate work from the Atelier Institute?" The third student, whose name Eliza couldn't remember, laughed. "My housekeeper went to community college too. She makes the best enchiladas." Eliza felt her chest tighten. "Excuse me, I need to finish up here." "Of course." Vanessa stepped aside, then paused. "Oh, wait. Did something fall out of your pocket earlier? A notebook or something?" Eliza's hand flew to her empty pocket. Her journal. It must have fallen out again during the reception. "Yes, my journal." "Have you seen it?" "No," Vanessa said innocently. "But if we do, we'll be sure to return it." As they left, giggling, Eliza felt sick. Her designs, her ideas, all her private work was in that journal. She abandoned the mop and rushed back to the reception area, scanning the floor, checking under tables. Professor Harrington spotted her frantic movements. "Is there a problem, Miss Chen? I lost something personal, a journal. Now isn't the time for personal matters. The Vogue editor just arrived. It'll only take a minute. Ms. Chen," his voice hardened, "either attend to your duties or clear the area." Defeated, Eliza returned to her cart. The journal would have to wait. By the time the reception ended, she was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. As she wheeled her cart toward the exit, she overheard Vanessa's voice from a small conference room. "Look at this one. The proportions are completely wrong." Laughter followed. Eliza froze, then slowly approached the partially open door. Inside, Vanessa, Morgan, and several other students huddled around a table where her journal lay open. "The stitching details are actually interesting," someone conceded. "Please," Vanessa flipped a page dismissively. "It's derivative at best. And these fabric choices? Amateur hour." Eliza pushed the door open. "That's mine." The group looked up, startled. Vanessa recovered first, smiling sweetly. "We found it on the floor. We were just trying to figure out whose it was." "By mocking it?" Eliza stepped forward. "Give it back, please." Vanessa closed the journal but didn't hand it over. "You know, if you want actual constructive criticism, I don't want your criticism. I want my property." Morgan raised an eyebrow. "Touchy, aren't we? For someone who felt qualified to judge our work earlier." "I didn't judge anyone. I answered a question." "From Diana Winters." Vanessa's voice hardened. "Do you have any idea how important she is? How many careers she's launched? And you thought you could impress her with your community college opinions?" Eliza reached for the journal. Vanessa pulled it back. "What would someone like Diana think of these designs?" she mused. "Should we find out?" Eliza's stomach dropped. "Don't." "Why not?" "You wanted to be part of the conversation earlier." Professor Richardson appeared in the doorway. "What's going on here?" Vanessa quickly handed the journal to Eliza. "Just returning something that was lost." "It's nothing," Eliza murmured, tucking the journal away. "Sorry for the disturbance." She hurried out, Richardson's curious gaze following her. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. Tomorrow she'd request a different area to clean, anything to avoid another humiliation. The next morning, Eliza arrived early, hoping to speak with her supervisor before the day officially began. Instead, she found a notice in her locker, report to Professor Richardson's office. 8 a.m. She checked her watch. 20 minutes. Enough time to change into her uniform, but not enough to calm her racing heart. Had the students complained about her? Was she being fired for the confrontation? Richardson's office door was open when she arrived. He gestured her in without looking up from his computer. "Ms. Chen, have a seat." Eliza perched on the edge of a minimalist chair, hands folded tightly, in her lap. "I understand there was some unpleasantness yesterday. Sir, He held up a hand. "I'm not interested in student drama. I called you here for another matter." He finally looked up. "Diana Winters mentioned you." Eliza blinked. "Me? She said you made intelligent observations about our students' work. Surprising observations. Coming from maintenance staff. It was inappropriate. I overstepped." Richardson studied her. "You have a design background? A 2-year degree. Nothing like what you offer here. And yet you work as a janitor at a design school instead of pursuing your field." Her shoulders tensed. "My mother got sick during my final year. Medical bills. I needed steady income. Benefits." Richardson nodded, unsurprised. "The annual Atelier Innovation competition is next month. It's open to all students." "I'm not a student." "No, but you are an employee. The rules state that all staff members can participate." He leaned forward. "Most don't, of course, but you could." Eliza stared. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because talent shouldn't be wasted scrubbing floors, Ms. Chen." His expression softened slightly. "And because Diana Winters asked about you after the reception, she was intrigued." "Professor, Harrington didn't seem pleased with my input." "Harrington is protective of his department's reputation," Richardson acknowledged. "But this institute was founded to discover and nurture talent wherever it appears." He slid a brochure across the desk. "The winner receives a full scholarship to our master's program and an internship with Diana's fashion house." Eliza's fingers trembled as she took the brochure. "I couldn't possibly. You have ideas. I glimpsed your journal last night." He held up a hand as she began to protest. "I didn't examine it closely, but I saw enough to recognize potential." "Your daughter might disagree." Richardson's expression tightened. "Vanessa has advantages she doesn't appreciate. Perhaps some healthy competition would benefit her." Eliza tucked the brochure into her pocket. "I'll think about it. The deadline for entry is Friday. Submit your preliminary sketches to my assistant." As she left his office, the brochure felt impossibly heavy in her pocket. The competition would mean exposing herself to judgment, not just from professionals, but from students who already saw her as an outsider. And yet, we aren't defined by other people's limitations. Her mother's words, spoken often during the darkest days of her illness, echoed in Eliza's mind. At her apartment that evening, Eliza spread her journal open on the kitchen table. Many designs were half finished, ideas abandoned when time or materials ran short. But some had potential. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "How was work today, sweetheart?" Eliza stared at the screen, considering her response. Finally, she typed, "Interesting. I might have an opportunity." She returned to her sketches, working until midnight, refining concepts, calculating materials, planning construction techniques. By morning, she'd selected her submission, a transformable outerwear piece that could be reconfigured into 3 distinct styles, with innovative seaming and sustainable materials. On Friday, she delivered the required 5 sketches to Richardson's assistant. The woman raised an eyebrow when Eliza identified herself, but accepted the folder without comment. "Confirmation of your entry will be emailed within 48 hours, she said. "Preliminary judging takes place next week." The following Wednesday, Eliza received the email. Her designs had been selected for the competition's final round. Of 86 entries, only 12 would move forward to create physical garments. For the final showcase, Her name was on the list, so was Vanessa Richardson's. News traveled quickly. By Thursday, whispers followed Eliza through the halls. Did you hear the janitors competing? Probably just a publicity stunt. Richardson felt sorry for her. Eliza kept her head high, focusing on her work. But at lunch, as she sat alone in the staff break room sketching modifications to her design, Vanessa appeared. Congratulations on making the finals, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. It's so inspiring to see the service staff pursuing creative outlets. Several nearby maintenance workers glanced over curiously. Thank you, Eliza replied evenly. Congratulations to you as well. The showcase will be quite educational. Vanessa leaned closer. For you, I mean. Regardless of the outcome, you'll see what real design work looks like. Eliza met her gaze steadily. I look forward to it. Just don't be disappointed when reality doesn't match your aspirations. Vanessa straightened. Not everyone is meant for this industry. As she walked away, Morgan appeared in the doorway, smirking. Cute sketchbook, bringing arts and crafts to lunch. Eliza closed her journal. Did you need something? Just wanted to see what someone with your background considers competition worthy. Morgan glanced around the break room. Though I guess this is your natural environment, isn't it? Among the other support staff, the room had gone silent. Every maintenance worker, cafeteria employee, and security guard watched the exchange. You know what they say, Eliza replied, her voice soft but clear. Judge the art, not the artist. That's exactly what we'll do. Morgan's smile turned predatory, and everyone will see the difference between trained talent and whatever you're bringing to the table. After they left, an older security guard named Luis approached Eliza's table. Don't let them get to you, he said, sitting across from her. Those types have been looking down their noses at people who work for a living since forever. Eliza closed her journal. I shouldn't have entered. Because some rich kids made you feel small? Luis shook his head. My daughter works in fashion. Started as a seamstress in a factory. Now she's a pattern maker for Versace. He tapped her journal. Talent finds a way. His kindness nearly undid her. Thank you. Just promise to remember us little people when you're famous. He winked. For the next 3 weeks, Eliza divided her time between her regular duties and creating her competition piece. She worked nights in her tiny apartment, sewing by hand what she couldn't complete on the industrial machines during her authorized access hours. The day before the showcase, she carefully transported her finished garment to the institute, where participants were allowed to make final adjustments in the workrooms. As she hung her piece on a dress form for steaming, Professor Harrington entered with several students, including Vanessa and Morgan. They stopped short when they saw Eliza. Ms. Chen, Harrington said, surprised, I wasn't aware you had access to the student facilities. Professor Richardson approved it for competition participants. Eliza tried to sound confident. Just making final preparations. Harrington glanced at her garment, a convertible coat in deep navy with intricate structural elements at the shoulders and waist. I see. His tone revealed nothing. Well, don't let us disturb you. As the group moved to the opposite end of the workroom, Eliza heard Morgan whisper, Is that actually part of the competition? It looks like something from a department store. Be nice, Vanessa stage whispered back. Not everyone can afford quality materials. Eliza focused on her work, refusing to show how the words stung. Her materials had been carefully sourced within her budget constraints, but they were good, durable, sustainable, and perfect for her design concept. The whispers continued as she worked, punctuated by occasional laughter. Finally, satisfied with the garment's preparation, she covered it with a garment bag and prepared to leave. Miss Chen, Harrington called. A moment, she approached cautiously. Yes, Professor. I understand tomorrow is your first design competition. His tone was neutral, but something in his expression looked almost concerned. The judges can be quite direct with their critiques. I'm aware. Good. I wouldn't want you to be unprepared for the experience. Was he warning her, threatening her? Eliza couldn't tell. Thank you for your concern, she said carefully. The atelier has certain standards to maintain. He glanced toward her covered garment. I hope your entry reflects that understanding." Before she could respond, he returned to his students, leaving Eliza with the distinct impression that she'd been advised to withdraw. The morning of the showcase arrived with a knot of anxiety in Eliza's stomach. She'd taken the day off from her regular duties, using precious vacation time for the event. The competition venue, the Institute's grand exhibition hall, buzzed with activity. Designers arranged their creations on assigned mannequins. Lighting, technicians adjusted spotlights. Judges consulted in hushed tones near the entrance. Eliza located her assigned position, off to one side, less prominent than the center spaces occupied by Vanessa and several other student favorites. She carefully unveiled her garment, making minute adjustments to its presentation. Interesting construction. A voice behind her made Eliza start. Diana Winters stood examining the garment, head tilted critically. "Thank you," Eliza managed. "I didn't say it was good," Diana corrected. "Just interesting. The shoulder transition is unconventional. It's designed to redistribute weight when the piece transforms," Eliza demonstrated, showing how the garment converted from a structured coat to a draped jacket, then to a vest with removable elements. Diana circled the mannequin. "And these seams? They create stability while allowing flexibility." Eliza pointed to the interior construction. "The traditional method would have required bulky interfacing, but this technique maintains the line while reducing weight." Diana nodded absently, already moving toward the next display. "We'll see." Throughout the morning, the judges circulated, examining each design without revealing their thoughts. When they reached Vanessa's creation, an avant-garde evening ensemble, with elaborate embellishments, Harrington hovered nearby, proudly explaining technical elements before Vanessa could speak. Diana seemed unimpressed. "Let the designer explain her own work, Charles." The audience began arriving at noon, faculty, students, and industry professionals filling the hall. Eliza stood beside her mannequin, answering questions from curious attendees, trying to ignore the sideways glances and whispered comments. "Isn't that the cleaning lady? I heard Richardson let her enter as some diversity initiative. Bold move considering her background." At 1 o'clock, Richardson took the microphone. "Welcome to the 27th Annual Atelier Innovation Competition. Today our 12 finalists will present their designs to our distinguished panel of judges." He introduced the judges: Diana Winters, Executive Creative Director of Maison d'Ivre; James Chen, no relation to Eliza, Design Director for Bergman Luxury Group, and Sophia Alvarez, Editor-in-Chief of Mode magazine. "Each designer will have 3 minutes to present their concept," Richardson continued. "Judges may then ask questions. We'll begin with position 1. Eliza was scheduled 10th. As she waited, she watched the other presentations, confident students, explaining their inspirations and techniques, fielding questions with practiced ease. Vanessa's presentation, 7th in line, was polished and technical, emphasizing her use of proprietary atelier methods. "As you can see," she concluded, gesturing to her garment, "this piece represents the culmination of 3 years of specialized training at the Institute." The judges nodded appreciatively, though Diana's expression remained neutral. Finally, Richardson called Position 10, Eliza Chen. Whispers rippled through the audience as Eliza approached her mannequin. Some faculty members exchanged confused glances. Professor Harrington's expression darkened. Eliza took a deep breath. "My design explores the intersection of functionality and transformation through innovative construction techniques." Her voice wavered at first, then steadied as she demonstrated how the garment converted between forms. The challenge was creating a piece that maintains structural integrity across multiple configurations, while using sustainable materials accessible to average consumers. She detailed her choice of fabrics, the specialized stitching that enabled transformation without compromising durability, and the economic efficiency of her production method. By reducing material waste and prioritizing longevity, this design addresses both environmental concerns and market accessibility. When her 3 minutes ended, silence fell. Diana Winters leaned forward. "You developed this transformation technique yourself?" "Yes," Eliza nodded. "Traditional methods created bulk at transition points, This approach distributes tension more evenly. James Chen examined the interior construction. The stitching pattern is unusual. What inspired it? Architectural. Support systems, Eliza explained, like flying buttresses that transfer weight outward rather than downward. He raised an eyebrow, impressed. Sofia Alvarez pointed to the collar. Show me again how this converts, Eliza demonstrated, revealing how the collar reconfigured to become a hood, then detached to form a separate accessory. And the fastenings? Magnetic closures embedded within seam allowances. They're positioned to align differently in each configuration. The questions continued beyond the allotted time, each judge probing deeper into her techniques. From the corner of her eye, Eliza saw Vanessa and Morgan exchange worried glances. When the judges finally moved on, Eliza felt lightheaded. She'd done it, presented her work to industry leaders who had actually engaged with her ideas. The final. Deliberations took place in private. The audience mingled while waiting for results, few approaching Eliza's display. That was quite impressive. Professor Richardson appeared beside her. Particularly the transformation elements. Thank you, sir. Where did you learn that stitching technique? I developed it while working on theater costumes during college, Eliza admitted. Quick changes between scenes required similar flexibility. Her nodded thoughtfully. Resourceful. The judges seemed interested. Diana doesn't waste time on designs that don't intrigue her. Richardson's eyes crinkled slightly. You held your own. Before Eliza could respond, the judges re-entered, and Richardson returned to the microphone. The judges have reached their decision. Before announcing the winners, they've asked to examine 3 designs more closely. He named the designers, Vanessa Richardson, Marcus Lee, and Eliza Chen. The 3 approached the judging table with their garments. Vanessa appeared confident, Marcus nervous. Eliza tried to keep her hands from shaking. Diana addressed them directly. Each of your designs showed promise in different areas. We'd like to see how they perform in motion. 3 models emerged from backstage. Each designer helped fit their garment, making last-minute adjustments. Eliza guided her model through the transformation sequences, explaining the proper techniques. The young woman nodded, quickly grasping the mechanics. Designers, return to your positions, Richardson instructed. Models will present the garments in sequence. Marcus's model went first, showcasing his architectural evening wear. The audience applauded appreciatively. Vanessa's model followed, demonstrating her elaborate construction and embellishments. Faculty members nodded in approval. Harrington beamed. Then Eliza's model stepped forward. She began with the full coat configuration, walking the length of the hall. Halfway back, she smoothly transitioned to the jacket form, removing elements. That transformed into a small bag. For the final pass, she converted the piece to its vest form, the detached collar now worn as a statement accessory. The transformation happened without pause, fluid and elegant. The audience fell silent, then burst into enthusiastic applause. Diana's expression remained impassive, but James Chen leaned forward intently. Sofia Alvarez made rapid notes. The models returned backstage. The 3 designers stood waiting as the judges conferred in hushed tones. Finally, Richardson returned to the microphone. The judges have made their decision. Eliza's heart pounded. Third place with a cash prize of $5,000, Marcus Lee. Marcus stepped forward, accepting his certificate with a relieved smile. Second place with a scholarship for 1 semester at the Atelier Institute and a cash prize of $10,000. Eliza held her breath. Vanessa Richardson. A ripple of surprise moved through the audience. Vanessa's smile froze as she accepted her certificate, eyes darting toward the judges in confusion. And first place, receiving a full scholarship to the Atelier Master's Program and a 6-month internship with Maison d'Hiver. The hall went absolutely silent. Eliza Chen. For a moment, Eliza couldn't move. Someone nudged her forward. She approached the judges' table in a daze as scattered applause broke out, punctuated by confused murmurs. Diana Winters handed her the certificate. Congratulations, Ms. Chen. Your technical innovation and practical approach to transformation stood out. Thank you, Eliza managed, her voice barely audible. I expect to see you at Maison d'Hiver in January. Diana's tone left no room for decline. "We'll formalize the arrangements next week." As Eliza turned to face the audience, she saw the varied reactions: Harrington's tight-lipped disapproval, Richardson's satisfied nod, Luis and several maintenance staff cheering enthusiastically from the back. Vanessa and Morgan stood stone-faced, whispering to each other. The formal reception afterward was a blur. Industry professionals who had ignored her earlier now approached with business cards and compliments. Faculty members who had never spoken to her suddenly found her techniques fascinating and her approach refreshingly practical. "How does it feel?" Richardson asked, appearing at her elbow with a glass of champagne. "To silence the doubters?" Eliza accepted the glass. "Overwhelming. You earned it." He glanced toward where Vanessa stood with Harrington, both looking distinctly unhappy. "Sometimes talent emerges from unexpected places." "Your daughter's design was excellent," Eliza offered. "The embellishment technique was innovative." "Vanessa has had every advantage," Richardson said quietly. "Sometimes that breeds complacency." Across the room, Diana Winters beckoned to Eliza. "Your new mentor awaits," Richardson said. "Go. This is just the beginning." As Eliza crossed the reception hall, she passed the custodial staff entering to begin cleanup. Luis gave her a thumbs up. Several others nodded in recognition. She would be leaving them behind, moving into a different world. Yet something told her she wouldn't forget what it felt like to be invisible. Diana introduced Eliza to several industry executives, explaining the winning design's innovations with genuine appreciation. No one mentioned Eliza's background or current position. Later, as the reception wound down, Eliza found herself alone for a moment near her displayed garment. Vanessa approached, her expression carefully neutral. "Congratulations," she said stiffly. "Thank you," Eliza hesitated. "Your design was beautiful, but not innovative enough, apparently." Vanessa glanced at the certificate in Eliza's hand. "You realize this doesn't change anything, right? The industry is about connections, background, pedigree. One competition won't erase where you came from." Eliza considered the words, feeling a strange calm settle over her. "Maybe not, but it's changed where I'm going." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "We'll see how long you last at Maison de Hiver. Diana eats people like you for breakfast. People like me. Outsiders. Amateurs. Charity cases." Eliza smiled slightly. "Then I guess I'll have to prove her investment worthwhile." 6 months later, Eliza stood in the atelier at Maison d'Hiver, putting final touches on a prototype for her first commercial design. The transformable outerwear concept had evolved into an entire capsule collection, with Diana's guidance sharpening each element. Her workstation, once foreign and intimidating, now felt like home. Her ideas, once confined to a worn journal, now manifested in fabrics and forms that would soon appear in stores worldwide. The studio door opened, and Diana entered with several executives. "Eliza, they're ready for your presentation." Eliza nodded, gathering her materials. As she followed Diana toward the conference room, she passed a custodian quietly mopping the hallway. Their eyes met briefly. Eliza smiled in recognition of a shared experience. The custodian nodded back, a simple acknowledgement between two people who understood what it meant to be seen or not. In the conference room, Eliza presented her collection to the executives. With confidence born of hard work and proven talent, no one questioned her background or credentials. No one mentioned her journey from maintenance staff to designer. They saw only her work, judged only her ideas. As it should be. Later, Diana examined the collection's sales projections with satisfaction. "You've exceeded expectations. The board has approved your advancement to junior designer." "Thank you." Eliza traced the edge of her old journal, still kept close despite her new tablet and design software. "For taking a chance on me." "I don't take chances, Eliza. I recognize value." Diana closed the projection folder. "Talent doesn't care about pedigree or polish. It simply is." Eliza thought of her mother, now receiving proper treatment with her improved insurance. Of Luis and the other maintenance staff she still met for coffee when visiting the institute. where she now occasionally guest lectured. Of Vanessa, who had reluctantly begun speaking to her at industry events. The greatest barrier to success, Diana continued, isn't lack of opportunity, but the belief that opportunity belongs to others. She tapped the journal. Keep this close. Remember where your vision began. As Eliza walked home that evening, she passed a shop window displaying her first commercial design. A young woman stood examining it, enthusiasm evident in her expression. The woman didn't know who had designed it, didn't know the designer had once cleaned floors in the very institution that now boasted of her success. All she saw was the creation, not the creator's journey. And perhaps that was the most meaningful victory of all, to have one's work judged solely on its merit, free from the shadows of assumption and prejudice. True talent cannot remain hidden forever. And worth, like beauty, lies deeper than surface judgments, if only we have the wisdom to look beyond what first meets the eye.